Good evening and welcome to the Hearts of Men podcast hosted by the Empowering Perspective community. We're your hosts for this evening's conversation. I'm sorry, Dwayne O'Dwyer. Happy what St. Patrick's Day, right? I am Irish, by the way. I'm joking. Dwayne Dwyer, otherwise known as the mindset coach. Rolling know what I'm talking about. Inside joke. I'm also accompanied this evening by the Uncle Junior himself, Mr. BuildYourCreed.com, Garfield Martin. Also with us is the Mr. Rolling Down the Street, the brother minister Roland Walker, also known as a poor man's Dr. Phil. And last but not least, my good friend across the table with Chris McClellan, also known as the angry guy. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Doing
Damn
real well.
right. I am well.
We got
Doing
You
good.
guys are amazing, man. I just want to make sure I start off by saying that you guys are awesome, man. I look forward to these Friday nights, not just the fellowship with you guys, man, but also the fellowship with the people in the chat, man. You guys are awesome. Welcome to this evening show. It's always good to see you guys. Welcome, Michelle Ray, Cassandra McKenzie, Lisa Keys, Bernadette Simmons, Miss Charlotte Jordan. Always to see you. Liz, the empathetic coach, good to see you. Natasha Jones, always good to see you. Rafonda, sorry, Miss Jackson, good to see you. Welcome to this evening show. Listen, man, I don't know if you guys get it, man. I am in a really good mood. And it ain't got nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. If that's what people choose to do, by all means, go after it. Gentlemen, how have your week been? I want to ask that before we get started. How's everybody's week been?
mine started off slow, a little flat, honestly. Nothing wrong, ain't nothing going on, but I just been kind of flat, kind of just like plateauing. But this morning I got up, had a good run, and I don't know, I went to work like on 100, actually on like on 1,000, and I just been having a great day. So I don't know what happened, I don't know what kicked in. I didn't change, I didn't alter anything. So I'm actually looking forward to what's going to come out of it, and then being able to reflect on what was the reason that caused that flatness or that kind of sort of plateau. So that's the fun part right there.
Yeah, I got it.
Man, my week been good. I've been waking up every morning, hitting my little garage gym. I did a little walking.
Yeah.
I just been on it, man. And then, you done stimulated conversation posting that short. So I got family posting it and, people thinking I'm a superstar and I'm down here just,
Uh-oh.
Listen, all you guys are superstars in my eye, man. That's how I see it. I'm posting shorts about all y'all in my Denzel Washington voice. Chris, what's going on, man? How was your week, brother?
Man, my week was cool. I went dancing again.
There you go.
That just let me know I need to stop.
Oh man, you good. You good. I'm telling you.
But
He
man,
like Chris
my
Rock.
week was cool.
To manage him. Manage.
Listen, I'm telling you, he showed us a video of him getting down. Ooh, I love it. I was over here vibing when I was looking at it, man. I love it. I love it.
Outsane.
Listen,
Keep calling.
listen. You say, listen. I want to make sure I give a shout out, man. You guys are awesome. Bernadette Simmons. Listen, man. You are just awesome. I love you guys. We greatly appreciate it. Bernadette Simmons, again, continuing to be a super supporter, man. And for everybody else who wants to be a super supporter, again, look in. If you're on YouTube, look up under the chat window. You'll see a square with a dollar sign. Whatever you give to us, we greatly appreciate it. We also give it back to you in the form of these awesome shirts. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure I'm putting them out there. These shirts, we're going to be sending them out to everybody. I owe the post office a visit tomorrow morning, just so that you guys know. But other than that, we're going to get back into continuation from last week's conversation. Lisa Keys, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you. Another super supporter, man. You guys are amazing. MJ, good to see you and welcome to today's show. Always good to see you. So we're going to kind of dive back in from a continuation from last week's conversation. Good to see you, Nikisha, and welcome to the show. And we're just going to kind of pick up where we left off. Now, if you guys remember from last week, we talked about creating a positive family environment. And so we kind of uncovered some things and we unpacked some things. And you guys asked some amazing questions. Please keep that energy coming into this week because I think those questions add value to where we go in these conversations. So that being said, we're just going to jumpstart in it with the first question. Gentlemen, and I want some help from you guys in the chats because we're only going to answer the one that says men. So for all the women in the chat, we need your help because we need to understand some of the challenges and obstacles that you faced as well. So what are some of the specific challenges and obstacles faced by young men and women while creating a positive family environment?
I'll start with they don't know what it looks like. Um, we talk about that in some shape or form every week. People grow up, they may not have but one parent, they may have both parents and still not know what it means or what it looks like to have a healthy family, a positive family environment. If you've never been in one, then you don't know what it looks like. There are TV shows. We've had TV shows. We had Cosby Show. We had Roseanne. There's a whole bunch of different types of show. You had the Golden Girls. Yeah, all these different types of shows with different types of relationships, different types of families, and how it worked, some of the trials, the tribulations, the different things that they went through, good, bad, or indifferent. At the same time, that's different watching something scripted on TV versus what you see in your home life every single day. When you come home, are you having to, take the needle out of your mom's arm? You know what I mean? Is dad high? Is he stealing money? Is he pawning items, from the house? So if you've never seen what a positive family environment looks like, then it's going to be a challenge for you growing up when you decide that you want to take on a family and be a leader or part of a team to create other lives and going forward and different things like that. So just not knowing is a huge hindrance and a huge challenge.
Hmm.
I'll jump out there and say money. Having no Siri, not talking to you. Siri, goodness, Siri want to talk about money. Take Siri out. Having not having the correct examples of how to establish wealth or maintain uh, money, pay bills, living hand to mouth, hand to foot, check to check. Uh, Not having those examples teach you to be one of those not examples. And so when you grow up and you start establishing your family, you think, I remember when I first, whether it be college or the military, they gonna throw them credit cards at you and everything. And you think, oh, I get a credit card. Military, they used to have DPP, it's called the Star Card now. And when I came in, they called it the Dumb Private Plan. And you get your little $2,000 in the PX and 500 in the clothing sales, and you have every CD and anything that shines, anything that had lights on it, you buy it because you don't know how to temper yourself. And I think that starts with the family structure, and that's one of the things that we carry over into new families when we establish ourselves. If you never break that cycle, if you never begin to say, okay, what is investing? Okay, what do I do with money? How do I balance a checkbook? You just gonna run into those problems, and you're gonna be living check to check like your mother or father or whoever your examples did.
Man, I love that comment as well. And I really like Uncle Junior's as well because to me, in my mind, both all of them tie together. For me, I'm just going to take the band-aid off the wound real quick, and I'm just going to say, as a man ruling their house with an iron fist. When you hear the term "man of the house," for some odd reason, that means something that it really isn't in the wrong person's mind. And so, whatever ends up happening, it's like it's my way or the highway. We're going to do it this way. It doesn't matter how anybody feel about it or whatever the case may be. These are the rules. We're going to stick to those rules, and it does not incorporate anybody else's perspective within the confines of the house. Nor does that person get any outside, influence from like their parents or their, parent in-laws, because those are great positions of advisors if they actually act in that role. So just as a man, just understanding the left and right limits of what you're called to do, being that that voice of reason, being that supportive factor, and misinterpreting and misunderstanding the idea of the man of the house. Now, when you throw finances into it, the money flows as I say it flows. Well, that's not a healthy environment based upon conversation. Do we have a plan, or do you just going to dictate how money goes? Especially when she actually works as well. So now you're making her feel like, well, she works and she just take her money and throw it in a bucket, and you get to decide what all the money looks like in that bucket. And going back to Uncle Junior point, I'm agreeing. I mean, I grew up watching the Cosby. We talked about that before, and I seen how Cliff handled business, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I don't know if I can do that. I'm not Cliff. And then what ends up happening is that you're going to try to be somebody that you're not. So just having the misinterpretation of what the man of the house actually means.
I'm going to say that a base level challenge that we face when it comes to creating a positive environment is the definition itself. Because for some strange reason, a positive family starts with a mama and a child instead of a husband and a wife. Maybe we could redefine what that is and start there. That's me pulling myself out of it and looking at it for what it is.
You know what? That's actually a good point. And that does define a healthy, positive family, because again, like we said before, that child's identity is found in both parents. And I think some of the sticking points with that, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, some of the sticking points with that is where the man and woman, even though they ran into issues or found issues to where they could not, cohabitate, exist together, whatever that looks like, they break up with each other. And unfortunately, in some instances, and I'm going to talk from a non-custodial parent perspective, because I think that's the proper term to use these days. From a non-custodial parent's perspective, in some cases they end up breaking up with the child as well. And on the other side, the custodial parent can also make it difficult for the non-custodial parent to spend time with that child. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're absolutely correct, and I've seen that happen several times. So going to our chat, because again, I've asked them to inject a few comments as well. So Natasha, she said a few of the challenges are resistance and opposition to change. Absolutely right. And again, this is just the concept or the idea of being open to growth. Sometimes some people are so fixed in their mindset, they're not necessarily open to a new perspective on how to do a thing or how to be. And because of that, what they do, they become resistant and defiant when it comes down to change itself.
That's an ego thing. That's an ego thing. And I say this all the time, man. It ain't about you when it comes to the family. It's about the family. Got to get out of your ego because it's about something bigger than you.
Yeah.
It ain't all about you.
I think that what happens in some cases, and this is what happened to me. I had a decent childhood growing up. There were things that went on, but I really didn't really have a really good understanding of those things until I became a lot older. You know, but just I'm I don't know. I'm a backup. I'm a backup. I ain't gonna go there tonight. I'll wait.
Okay. Very well. Very well. We appreciate that. But no, I agree. It is definitely an ego thing. Great, bro.
No, I was saying, Uncle Junior, he said he gonna back up. I thought I seen his bottom lip start to quiver a little bit. He was getting sentimental, but I think maturity has a lot to do with it, because we don't usher our kids into maturity like we should. We either baby them or we shove them. And when we shove them, it's something like with my oldest child. My oldest child used to watch the rest of the kids. So she was thrust into it. Hey, I know you're 10. Make sure they do this. Like at 10, at 11, so she's already thrust into a parent role almost.
Yeah.
So part of her childhood is spent, I got to watch these kids. I got to do this because mom and daddy got to work. So some kids go through that, while others, you have moms or moms and dads, but people, mostly moms that I've seen, where they will see black boys, black girls being killed outside, and then they hold on to them kids so much that they allow them to do anything, anything goes, and they give them too much ahead of time to where their expectations in life are thrown away because hey, I know I'm 16, like the little girl a couple of weeks ago. I know I'm 16, but I wanted a Mercedes. I didn't want this brand new car that I don't deserve, but I didn't want this. I wanted a Mercedes. I want what I want, and so it's two sides to that coin.
Wasn't there a post on something like that not too long ago?
Little girl, she was
Yeah,
16, and they bought her a nice car,
Yeah,
and they
little
bought her a
girl got
Tesla,
mad 'cause she got a Tesla, or something like that, and she
yeah,
wanted
a
a
Mercedes.
Mercedes, and she actually threw a temper tantrum about getting a car that she's driving somebody's salary right now, and you're
right.
upset. Shut
Yeah.
up! I'll take the car back, and you won't get nothing.
It was a really nice car
Yeah.
too, man. I'm telling you. And she wasn't a Mercedes.
And then she went to the Mercedes dealership to go get her the car she wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have
To
killed.
I go back to what Chris was talking about with ego and stuff like that and just not knowing. So for me, I had a baby before I wanted to be a father. I was married before I wanted to be a husband. So when those things happened, I was out there flapping, brother. Like I didn't know what to do. So I didn't know. I was kind of leading or not leading, or my family was based on what I thought or what I was taught growing up. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of things that I just didn't know. It's not like my father didn't really sit down and talk to me about, you know, marriage, what it's supposed to be like, how you're supposed to treat your wife, how you're supposed to pick women, none of these different things like that. So the stuff that I was learning, I was picking up from Sergeant First Class Dwyer, Sergeant First Class Walker. You know what I mean? That's where I was getting my information from, was people in the military who may not have had the same set of values and principles that I did when it came to leading a family. But that's all I know. We would go over their house, and this is what I would learn, is how they treated their wife and how things operated in their home, good, bad, or indifferent. Those are the things that I picked up along the way. So all of those things wasn't necessarily good. So those things that I picked up that wasn't good probably affected my family in a certain way. You know, like Coach has mentioned before, like you can go to work in the Army from 5 o'clock in the morning. You can stay there at 8 o'clock at night every day of the week if you wanted to. It's always something to do. You
Yeah.
know, you ain't got to go home.
Yeah, good point. That kind of goes with what Lisa Keys says. The missing element is true examples. I think when we don't have that example growing up, or have the wrong example, if you will, I think what can, we either make it up based upon, whatever we believe it to be, not necessarily understanding what it looks like, or we just look at that bad example and say, okay, well, this is what my dad did, so this is what I'm gonna do, or my dad did these things, so I'm gonna do everything I can not to do it. And because I spend so much thought on what not to do, I end up repeating the exact same cycle. And that can be a thing. So, it's an old saying, like wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. And that's exactly what it is. So you put all of the intention on what not to do, then you end up bringing it into fruition in your life. And that is a true thing. And, you're right. It takes us to encounter some people that have different experiences, have a better way of doing things. And then we watch them model it and be like, man, you know what? That actually looks right. And so as best I possibly can, I'm gonna attempt to imitate that until I actually learn what it looks like for me. So I'm perfect example, man. I'm glad you brought that to the table. Let's see. Cassandra brought up social media. Social media is one of the biggest influences to young people today. Their friends thinking that after becoming a young parent, that their life will remain the same after being a parent. That's a good point. Very good point. Like, I know for me, when I became a parent, my life changed drastically. I started looking at things differently. I couldn't do the things I used to do because for me, I wanted to make sure I took care of my son. So yeah, that's the thing. And in conjunction with that, what you see also is, unfortunately, that child, and that's what I'm gonna call them, that child has a child and is living home with mama, and then they turn mama into the unpaid babysitter while they continue to live the life that they were living before they got, had the child. And that works on the other side as well. Young man living home with their parents, go out there and get somebody pregnant. His life doesn't change because he ain't brought no baby into the house, and he is not necessarily doing his version or um, taking responsibility for his, for being a father as well. So great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Go ahead, bro.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Social media, man. I think social media also gives people an unrealistic expectation of what they can actually get. Um, a lot of people that's online that's trying to sell you something,
It's
or just
fake.
trying to or fake or just trying to entertain you. And so many people are being sucked into it and they're thinking that, Mr. Whoever in, knight in shining armor or, Miss, I don't need a BBL, I got the hourglass body, all of these different things, I mean, this is what I have, this is what I have, this is what I can get. And I think, that and then like coach said, I think unrealistic expectations, like I said, about what you can really deserve. I mean, about not what you deserve, but what you can actually get and in a way qualify for. You know what I mean? If you want a job, you have to qualify for it. If you want to work at X, Y, and Z, you have to meet the standards of that job or that position in order to get it. And if you don't meet the qualifications, you can't get it, no matter how much you desire or think you deserve it. And I think that goes the same way when it comes to men and women too. When we're trying to attain a certain type of man or a woman, we might not necessarily qualify for that type of person. So, and I think, like I said, people have unrealistic expectations of what they actually can get when it comes to um, a husband or a wife.
Hmm. I like that. I like that.
I was trying to be nice with it. I know Chris want to just butcher it up in a whole different way.
I hate social media so much. I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being because it's fake. All of it is fake. They do it to get y'all to spend money and to keep us fighting. That's all it is. It's
I look at
something to
almost
keep
everything
us
as
separate.
entertainment.
Right. But the thing is, us fighting each other is the most lucrative form of entertainment out there right now.
Yeah.
And they don't get it. And this is why I get so angry when people bring up social media, because it's just right in front of you. You should be able to see it. You're being used to spend money on things that you really don't even want, to impress a bunch of people that don't even care. Ugh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What you got, bro?
I just think that social media is just an extension of the telephone and the TV. You add it together, and you have people that I read books, but I don't read the books like Toni Morrison and things like that. I used to read Donald Goins. I used to read Iceberg Slim. I used to read entertainment books, but entertainment books never led me anywhere. And I think when you use social media simply for entertainment, it's the same way. You'll be searching those sites. Like some of it is for entertainment. Some of it, I'm glad I don't have to use an Encyclopedia Britannica for certain things. I'm
Or
glad
buy
that
them.
we have, but when it comes to like your social media outlets like Instagrams, TikToks, yes, they know that people have a propensity to like drama, like fighting, like all these things. And that's the same reason I don't watch the news. Is the same reason I don't follow a lot of people who deal in drama, deal in negativity, because it's going to stimulate me the wrong direction. And I think that's why parents have to be on their children's social media outlets. They have to know what's going on, and they have to give them limitations, because when you don't, you just say, hey, here, free reign. And next thing you know, you wondering why he is doing some of the things or she is doing some of the things that they're doing. It's because you've allowed them to be taught by people you don't know, that they don't know, and don't really care for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All great points, and I agree 100%. Shout out Miss Verlene McCoy, Queen V. Always good to see you. King Coop, welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you as well. Want to make sure I catch everybody here before we move forward. I want to make sure I pronounce your name, and if I mess it up, I apologize. So the American in me want to say Angel, but I think that might be Angel Rodriguez. If that is correct, welcome to the show, Angel. Always good to see you. I'm understanding. Is that Liz Pops?
Yeah, you
Ah,
Irish and speaking Spanish. What you got?
hey, I speak Espanol. No, that is not true. I don't speak zero. I speak zero Spanish. I understand some of it. That's the best I got. I want to make sure I hit some of these points. Ken Coops, I think Roland, you brought up the key about finances. Ken Coop agreed that's not a good way to start a family. Before starting a family in general, I feel you have to be financially secure and you're able to provide not only for yourself but for your spouse. I agree 100%, and I think we need to teach our children that early, real early, before they get started. Yes, sir.
Is it okay to be on the way? What I mean by that is this. I am 27 years old. I'm working at Amazon. I've been there for 5 years. The last year I've been a manager, right? And I plan on staying there. I plan on moving up with the company or something like that. Let's say I'm making $23-25 an hour. Is that considered okay that a guy is moving or progressing? He has potential. He can grab a woman who may be making around the same thing, or maybe in school or something like that, and they can build from there. Is that still you guys still think that that's okay, or should they be fully everything before they go? I want to start with Chris. I honestly want to ask Chris first.
Uncle
Because
Junior,
yeah.
the scenario that you just spouted out is one of the utopian scenarios where two people actually sat down and planned something.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't plan, they just do. Now, if a plan is being put in place and he says to that woman, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but I know I can't take care of you the way that I know you deserve to be taken care of based on how you've treated me over this situation. I want to marry you, but I know I can't afford it right now. And if she says, okay, we'll work it out, and then when we get there, we can jump the broom, go for it. Because she's a part of the plan now. It's a plan. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the one thing that a lot of us don't do. We don't plan. Most of us are winging it. I
Now,
said
if
I
the
was going to
question,
shut up today.
You asked you were asked the question, so that's on me.
and are you asking, should the person that's working this job and don't necessarily have everything together, should they get married?
Yeah, should they get married, or is it time to either get married or start getting serious about somebody?
First thing first, what's the purpose of them getting married? If you saying because I love you and all that other stuff that you see the skunk chasing the cat on TV do, nah, you might well hold off.
Mm-hmm.
On some Looney Tunes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you doing it for the physical, come on now, nah, because that ain't gonna last either. But if you doing the saying this is your one, if that's your one, take the time to get yourself straight, because apparently you're admitting already that you aren't right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to do this, so you already establishing a relationship on worries. I don't have this, I don't have that, I got to do. So now you add stress into the picture. But I think that you should get yourself together, because if neither one of you are going anywhere, like I'm agreeing with Chris with the plan part. Plan this thing out. Hey, this is now, we don't have to have $1 million and all that other stuff, because I think money drives people crazy. But what you have to do is be able to manage the household. You got to be able to manage one another. And when you can't do that, and then you bring in kids because you say, okay, I'm gonna use protection. Yeah, I tried that a few times. Ain't never worked. But you try these things and you make dumb mistakes. You when you say you don't have it, that's a mature stance. So keep making those mature stance and get yourself together. She's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Establish that friendship, that bond between you guys. And when you get where you can manage everything without the other person. Come together. Because I got to be, because without that's how insurance works also. That's why if mama die, we need more insurance. Because mama take care of these kids. Mama at home, supposedly. Mama at home doing all this other stuff. Daddy died, we need insurance for the paycheck.
But then where's the whole narrative about building together? If he
And that's what
already
I'm
has to be
saying.
built.
You build
And that's
together.
what I'm saying. The thing about it is, nowadays, look, this is what the market is. This is what it is. We're supposed to be able to put women in position so that way they can do what they want to do and not what they have to do. That's what it is. This is the market. And that's where it starts. We have been put in this, and for lack of a better term, I'm going to say unfair, but as men, we really don't say unfair. We say, okay, let's deal with it because it is what it is. But we've kind of been put in this position where we have to be able to do that. That's what it is. When people say financially secure, they mean I want to be able to do what I want to do. I don't want to have to do all of these things and build with you. You have to be built. That's what it is.
But I think when we say build, are we saying struggle?
No, I'm not saying struggle at all.
I think some people equate build and struggle. Let's struggle together. Because I like it into a car. I like the Mercedes, I like the BMWs and all these other cars. But I was taught if you can't afford 4 tires at one time, don't buy the car. If you can't afford to get a $500 oil change, don't buy the car. Get you a doggone Hyundai, get you a Kia, get you something you can afford until you can afford. Because what you do is you put yourself in a bind with expectations where you said and you establish stress in a relationship. That's just my thing.
But most men don't hit their, let's say, the financial stride to really be able to support a family nowadays, a family of two. They really don't hit their financial stride until they're in their 40s and, mid to late 40s and early 50s. So, if they want to have a family, now you got, 40-something-year-old dudes looking for under 35-year-old women because, that's when high-risk pregnancy starts. And if you want to have a family and you don't want to take that risk, then that means you can have children over 35, but at the same time, he may not want to take that risk. If once he's built himself up, he may want to go with the lower risk, have children, and go with the woman that may be, in her mid to late 20s or early 30s.
Well, I'm going to inject this, and then
Yeah.
we're going to move forward because we need to continue. Great question, though. But in my opinion, I think it depends on the individuals. I don't think this is a flatline answer for everybody. I think, in my opinion, and this is just me, I think as a young man, I would teach my young men that hey, you need to have a degree of security, not necessarily 100% financial security, right? But you have to have a degree of security. You need to like if you have to go and depend on her for this and depend on her for that and go, you need to stay home and continue to build yourself. Right, you need to build yourself to a degree of independence. I agree 100% with Chris's perspective because I really do believe that as much as I hate the social norms of male identity, I do believe that men first and foremost need to provide and protect, and they grow into those other things as well. But first and foremost, if you can't provide and protect a family, a house, or any of those things, then at the end of the day, don't go out there and establish it. Stay home, build yourself. Make a plan for your life. And that's the thing that I've seen a lot. The man doesn't have a plan for his life, so he joins his life to somebody else. And then what ends up happening is that, well, we're just going to figure that out. No, you're heading down a one-way pathway to destruction. We can build together as long as we have planned to build together. If we did not plan to build together, then eventually we're just, in this la-la land of, fictitious awareness. It's not reality. And then when life happens to you, then you're calling me, hey, dad, I need some help. Hey, mama, can you see what I'm saying? And so that's my point. Like, if you're setting a mark based upon I need to make X amount of dollars before I decide to get married, I don't think that's I don't think that's the right way to go. And what you're doing now, you're turning your perspective of love and marriage into a money thing. It's not a money thing. But again, you have to become secure. You have to have your stuff together, saying it mildly, so that you can actually set a good foundation before you bring a woman in. If you go back into the Old Testament, and I hate to go there, right? But I am. You go back into the Old Testament, you had your stuff together before you go and get your wife. In fact, it was arranged. We know that to be the case, but the father wasn't releasing his daughter to somebody who didn't bring something literally to him. Like you had to go and present a dowry to the father before he even considered giving you his daughter. So that's kind of like my point. I think throughout history, and I'm not saying that we got to go back and do that because I ain't paying nobody data for your daughter. But I'm not saying we got to go back and do that. But at the end of the day, I think there has to be a foundation, as a man before you say, hey, will you marry me? She should say no. Because if you're not, and I'm not saying that, oh, you got to be making six figures. I think that's fictitious and I think that's crazy, right? When you set the standards based upon, oh, they got to make six figures, they got to do this or that, I think that's crazy. But at the end of the day, he should not pose the question unless he know that he can receive her and treat her almost as good as her father did. That's just my perspective, though. So again, all great responses, and we greatly appreciate you guys adding value to and your perspective in the chats. Man, you guys are putting it in here, and I'm sorry if I'm missing it. Do we really know what hold on? I think Miss Charlotte was responding to you, Uncle Junior. Do we really know what a positive family look like? Because we only know what we see outside the home. No one knows what goes on behind closed door, so we can't always look at somebody else's family. I agree 100%. And that goes back to the whole point that somebody was making about the social media. I think it was Chris, right? When you look at social media, you get the highlight reels of somebody else's life. You're not seeing everything there is to see about that person. And Natasha buying stuff off Facebook. Don't feel bad, Natasha. I did it too. And Facebook be listening to you, by the way. If you say you want something, next thing you know, it come across your feed, and I'm that person that buy it. I still got boxes over there I haven't opened yet. Wendy Rodriguez, welcome to the show. Again, always good to see you. What, man? Go ahead. You can talk about me. I don't care.
Nah, I'm not, man. I'm coach. I'm not, man. I'm not. I'm not. But it's
good,
like I said, man. This is me pulling myself out of it and looking at it for what it is, and I can't see how people don't see this. But hey, maybe this is my utopian, naive mindset.
I don't have an issue with having a naive mindset as long as we don't act on it, right? You should have a degree of like hope when it comes down to things. We should have hope when it comes to relationship, hope when it comes to marriage. But if we don't act out naive, being naive, we'll be all right. We have a hard time understanding needs versus wants as young adults. Man, that is so spot on. Absolutely. Queen V said you can make $1 million an hour. If you don't manage your money right, it'll be hard for you. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Lisa Keys bring the scriptures to the conversation. I agree. Man, you guys are awesome. Listen, we appreciate you guys. If I missed your point, it wasn't intentional. I apologize. It's just that you guys are adding so much value, and I want to make sure I'm grabbing it. Walter Mahone, welcome to the show. Good to see you. I want to make sure I'm acknowledging everybody. Listen, once a week, I like to give stuff away. I want to be honest. So once a week, I like to give stuff away. In the chat, type in #family. You'll be put into the drawing, and we'll do the drawing at the end of the show. So just type in #family right now, wherever you are. Just type in #family again, #family, and then you will be entered into the drawing. And then we will go from there. It will be good, and everybody will enjoy it. I'm sorry, I missed my brother Antoine Lyons. Good to see you, brother. Always good to see you. Welcome to the show. Okay, next question. What are some of the cultural or societal norms that impact our family dynamics? Again, what are some of the cultural or societal norms that impact our family dynamics? Besides Facebook.
All right, I'll jump on it first. Family first. We say that all the time. Family first. Blood is thicker than water. And sometimes your family can be some of the most disrespectful people in the world. I have adopted a new way of thinking a few years ago, and I don't have control over who my relatives are, but I do have control over who my family is. So just because I am blood related to someone that does not make them my family. That makes them my relative. So because what happens in many cases, or in some cases, I won't say many, in some cases, because we're a family, it gives me an opportunity to mistreat you and to expect from you what I wouldn't expect from someone else. Because we're a family, I have to give you $20 because you asked, you know, and good, bad, or indifferent, because we're blood. And if I don't give it to you, then it's an issue. Saying no sometimes to family can be an issue. Family can say, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You still supposed to take me in. You know, I'm not living right. I'm living foul. You still supposed to be able to take me in and let me live with you because we're family. You know, so I think that you have some of those cultural or societal norms, something as simple as family first can create a whole bigger impact on your family dynamics, because now you got people going at each other. You got bad influences coming down from other people in the outside of the immediate family. You know, it causes tension, it causes breakups, it causes division in the family because everybody may not agree on certain things. But at the end of the day, family first. And we can go over here and we can talk about Coach and Antoine, whoever behind their back, you know what I mean? And then, you know what I mean? So it's just a lot of that stuff. And then when we're at the family picnic, everybody cool. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I just think a lot of times, when in some cases, that whole saying is family first creates a lot of create some impact in a negative way sometimes when it comes to family, the overall family dynamics.
Yes, sir.
Medical or mental help.
Mm.
We
Yep.
don't get
Fact.
it. If you're sick, go get you a Verner's, eat some saltine crackers, and sit still.
To take a nap.
Yeah, go take a nap. I feel bad. Go take a nap, and that runs through our society, our culture, because because of economics, because nobody had real insurance, so we didn't want to go. Hey, you ain't getting on no ambulance, you know, or you ain't doing it. Or when it comes to psychological, I ain't crazy. It's not that you crazy. You just need to learn how to break some things down so it's not eating your brain up, eating your body up. You're saying, or whatever it is, we find a remedy. Oh, just rub some of this on it, or just drink a hot toddy. You need to go to the doctor. You sitting up there, got half of your side is sticking out your body, and you sitting up there. I'm just gonna rub this. No, you can't just rub something on everything. For a lot of things that we need medical and mental attention for, we will stray away from it simply be out of fear and out of other people knowing our business.
Mm.
I got nothing.
Okay. Okay. I just want to
touched
make. I just want to make sure.
I got nothing.
You do have something. You just not gonna say it. And I ain't gonna
Yeah, we're not gonna force
throw
you
it
to say
out
anything.
there. If you
I
just
don't.
say
I
it,
don't. Seriously,
it's-
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Because
It's gonna-
you all, it's. Go ahead, man. Never mind. I just lost my train of thought. Damn it.
I'm a kind of go back into the social media thing, right? We have a problem with putting all of our business on social media. Like, I don't understand why that is a necessity. I don't really care what you have for dinner, just being honest. And that's the mild version. The other side of it, if me and my, make believe wife over there, if we split up and she leave, it ain't Facebook business right now. It ain't never Facebook business, to be honest with you. We need to stop putting our business on social media.
I
Like,
hate them
so
seeing disciplining the kids on social media. I hate them.
that one too. I'm traveling to Miami Beach. Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. But that's not why I'm on social media. You know what I'm saying? We put too much of our business on social media, and I'm really being mild about it. Right? Rolling with a little. I'm agreeing 100%. We shouldn't like putting disciplining your child on social media. The fact that y'all had an argument putting it on social media, the fact that somebody, and pardon my French, done pissed you off, and now you want to find some like cliche to say on social media because they didn't know who I was until I showed up. So you know what I'm saying? None of that stuff even matters. Like, stop putting your business on social media. And that that really irritates me because at the end of the day, you're really saying like there is no chance of reconciling with this person. Once I put it out there in the universe and everybody know there's drama, trust me, anybody who wants to call you, they're calling you right now. I guarantee it. So we need to stop putting our business on social media. Our people, I love my people. I love all people, to be honest with you. But there are some things within our culture that just don't, we got to overcome it. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Y'all need some real live in-person friends to talk to. Jesus H.
Some friends.
Get
to
off
tell
your
them
little
no.
phone, get off your little computer. You need some real live people that you can call on the phone and say, come meet me somewhere. I need to talk. Instead of getting on
Absolutely.
your phone and telling a bunch of people who love to see you in trauma anyway that you in trauma.
Ja Morant just lost millions of dollars because he on social media want to pull a pistol. Because he hanging out with his dumb friends. I say that they got to be dumb because he's the cash cow, and you don't let the cash cow lose his money. You don't let him mess up.
You remember what I said last show about when you trying to be something that you're not, is gonna come out anyway?
Yep.
That's Ja Morant.
Yeah.
You are not you are a hooper.
That's it.
That's it.
You ain't in the streets.
You are a hooper.
So
stay on the court.
You guys kind of leaned into my next point, right? Because I was going with the cultural norm piece. Fathers, stop trying to be your child friend.
We knew you where you were going, so we said
it. I know you.
Alley-oop.
ESPN. I'm going to add the into ESPN. So you listen. Your child is your child. I don't care how old they are, right? You're there, and I don't know when we talked about this. I talked about those transition points that parents got to hit those transition points, right? When you're raising your child, your responsibility is to train that child up in the way that they should go. Once they get of age, they should go. That's it. They should go. And then when they go, what we must do is become their advisors for their own good, not rub elbows with them and try to hang out with them and do all that other stuff. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. One thing I can't, and this is just me, I'm speaking for myself. One thing I don't ever see myself doing is going and hanging out at a bar or a club or someplace like that with my child. I don't care if they're 40. Just being honest. If they're 40, chances are I'm a little older than 40. But I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna go hang out with them. I just can't see it. Because I think what ends up happening is that I compromise who I am to them as an advisor. At that point, I become more of a friend. And it's not like I can't be friendly. There's the difference of being a friend and being friendly. And so that's just my point of view from a cultural standpoint. We got to pull ourselves out of this rut of being the friend with our child and go back to parenting. Parents have to go back to parenting. I think that's essential. I think that's a lost art, and I think that impacts the family dynamics greatly. And looking at the chat, let the church say amen. Man, listen. Man, they're awesome, man. We greatly appreciate you guys. I want to go back because there was some great comments that were made. So Natasha said, cultural norms, we don't talk about what goes on in our house. Absolutely. We do struggle with that. Relatives, sometimes, I think that was in response to you, Roland. I appreciate that. Wendy, Liz said her husband in the kitchen cooking. That's what I'm talking about. Men can cook. Just want to say that. We cook well.
Yes.
Especially if my mama taught me how to cook. Don't judge me. Single mothers and absentee fathers. Huge. Huge. I can't stress this enough. Breathe. Single breathe. Single mothers and absentee fathers, right? This is huge, right? Because again, we have to find a way to maintain the unit. And if the unit doesn't work, it becomes about the child, not how I feel about the other person. I'm moving. I appreciate that, King. Appreciate that, King Coop. I greatly appreciate that, brother. Parents interfering with adult children's lives. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see.
Adult children.
I believe that the number one issue in our culture, what goes on in this house stays in this house. The most toxic events happen in that environment. Yep, I agree 100%. Because some people ain't got no business crossing some paths that they don't belong. I'm just gonna say it that way mildly. Again, hashtag family. Everybody type in hashtag family and make sure that you're a part of the drawing that we'll be conducting at the end of this evening's show. Okay, next point. How can we balance the need for structure? And of course, I asked that assuming that we all agree that we need structure in the family. How can we balance the need for structure and routine with the importance of flexibility and adaptability within the family? I will go first on this one because I want everybody to include people in the chat. I want everybody to process this. I believe without any structure, there is no framework. If we don't have a framework for what the family looks like, what the family is supposed to be. Hey, Shell, good to see you. Welcome to today's show. I told you, Uncle Junior, I wasn't going to miss her the next time she showed up. All right, so for all those who don't know, Shell is Uncle Junior's wife. So it's always good to see her in the show. Um, I believe without family structure, right, we don't have a framework. Without a decent framework, we don't have anything to build off of. So, with that being said, we need to have an understanding of the structure of our family. Husband and wife need to talk it out, understand what it looks like. We need to talk about all aspects of family living. How are we going to do parenting? What does finances look like? How do we handle our in laws? How do we handle our outlaws? We need to have this conversation in its totality. That is important. Then I go back to what I said a couple of weeks ago. Good units do routine things routinely. There are certain routines that the family need to do in order for them to perfect. I'll give you a perfect example. When mama and daddy leave and they leave the child home, the child knows lock the door, don't answer the door for nobody. If anybody comes to the door, don't even say nothing, just give us a phone call, let us know who it is. With this particular day and age, everybody got ring doorbells. So you see who's coming up to your house before they even get there, right? With so the routine with the importance of flexibility and adaptability. Now, when we start talking flexibility and adaptability, we start looking at certain aspects, situational aspects that are brought to the environment that says that we can't handle this particular scenario routinely. We can't do this based upon our normal routine. We have to exercise critical and creative thinking with this particular scenario, i.e., my child come home, my child is confused because they were in class and they seen somebody else and that person looks like one thing, but they're saying they're different. I don't want to say anything that hurts their feeling. Mom, dad, can you help me? That's not a normal conversation. But in this day and age, you need to normalize that conversation. That child, the other child, whatever they choose to do, whatever their parents allow them to do, that's their business. But as for me and my house, this is what we're going to do. And so when it comes down to it, we have to have that structure to be able to support the storms when they show up. When the storms show up, then a family that has structure and routine knows how to respond to the storms when it shows up. Anybody? Bueller?
I was finished writing my notes down. Um, I had to do some adjusting, so I think he was looking on my paper again.
My bad.
But yeah, when when I'm looking at this, how can we balance the need for structure and routine with the importance of flexibility and adaptability within the family? I think, like Coach said, you have to have structure and you have to have some routines if you want to have a successful overall family. People have to be in certain roles, and I think that the family will work overall better as long as everybody's doing their roles to the best of their ability. Um, Mom, dad, wife, kids, everybody in the family. There are going to be some times that where we are going to have to adapt and we're going to have to adjust. Things are going to come up, and those things are fine, in my opinion, as long as they line up with the values and the plan and the overall goal of the family. Something simple for the family could be, hey, look, every Sunday, 5 p.m., we eat dinner at the house as a family unit. child may come home, say, hey, can I go over Chris's house to eat dinner? No, we already have this, blah, blah, blah. Some adaptability may be, hey, look, how about you invite that friend over here and eat with us? So that's something small, but just to kind of prove my point, or kind of to, make my comment or whatever like that, is that, I think, it's important to have structure and routine, but I also think that it's important to be flexible. But the flexibility and adaptability needs to align with the overall vision for the family.
I think when it comes to certain structures, structures should stay the same as is. Now, when it comes to flexibility, we should be flexible enough to listen. Sometimes we don't listen to our children, and our children. I got grown kids. I got 30. My kids almost in their mid-30s, and when they speak, I can't automatically say, well, I'm the daddy, so what I say goes. But it's certain things. If you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you come over to my house, you are not sleeping in the same bedroom in my house. That's my structure. You can do whatever you want to do where you live or whatever, but not in mine, because that's me. Now, and I'm not flexible with that, but I am flexible with listening to I'm not always right when it comes to politics. I'm not always right when it comes to strategies or whatever. So I can learn. And when I can learn on those levels, I have zero problems with it. But it's certain things that I'm not straying away from. And those are non-negotiable, but we shouldn't even get into a conversation about those, because the respect between us both shouldn't allow that. That's why you train your children up when they're small. So then when they get older, my kids, they will play around jokingly and call me by one of them. She'll call me by my first name, just trying to be cute or whatever. But there's not a time where we're going to be talking and she going to call, one of them going to call me by my first name. And it's just going to be like, oh, that's cool. Nah, because I've established that. But I think flexibility has definitely I'm speaking from the parents' end, because I'm even flexible with my mother now, because sometimes I got to get in teacher mode, because my mother, she doesn't understand certain things because of how today is, as I don't understand how these last few generations speak and think, and they can articulate that to me.
Coach, can I add something to this?
Absolutely.
I just want to add to the need for structure and routine. I want to, I think it's already implied, but effective structure and routine. Because there are some people who have routine in their house and it's all jacked up. I know kids that go to bed at 12, 1 o'clock every night, and that's routine, but it's ineffective, So I think, just to add to real quick with that, it's important for the structure and routine be effective.
I love
I
it.
think we can balance it by understanding that one comes before the other. You have to have a structure and routine before you can put any type of flexibility and adaptability to it.
Yep.
One
Absolutely.
comes before the other.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of comments I want to bring. A question. First question, Liz asked, what age should they go? This kind of goes back to the point that I made previously. You've raised your child up to in the ways that they should go. By the time they get to a certain point, they should go. Right. Um, so her question is, what age should go? What age should they go? I have my response already, but I'm gonna open the floor up to you fine gentlemen first.
I don't think that's an age thing. I think that's a maturity and mentality
That's
thing.
a are you ready to do this thing?
Right, because you can throw a kid out at 18, he'll be right back. She'll be
Sink or
right back.
swim. Sink or
But when
swim.
you prepare them and you help them along in their mature journey and show them what it is to be out on their own is different than, like, I had to get out. I was put out at 14, but then at 18, I got to go somewhere. So uh, I think you nurture your kids. You don't baby your kids. You give them responsibilities along the way, and you teach them higher levels of responsibility. And when it's time to go, they'll know, because they don't want to be under your roof neither. So now, if they're disrespectful, that's a totally different animal. You can't abide by my rules, and it's not hard rules. I'm not saying 21-year-old, you got to be in this house by 10 o'clock, lights off at 11. I ain't being crazy, but you're not gonna be disrespectful in my house either. You're not just gonna be coming in when you want to come in, like it's like you paying rent.
Yeah. Agreed.
Have to be a cutoff.
I'll give you examples. You say cutoff. Now I got a
50
daughter.
years old.
My daughter was in New York, and wait a minute. You said 50.
You said
No,
50.
I'm just saying, like, there has to be a cutoff at some point.
I say that's a rumor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if we're talking maturity, I get the maturity piece, but and I know you can't put a hard number on it, but I would like to wonder approximately what age is like. It's been long enough, bro.
I
Like
think
50 is way too long. 21 might be too early. So
I
at
think
what
when you
Listen.
would get in
age
your
approximately?
mid-20s,
He's like, come on, bro.
Listen,
and when you're in your mid-20s,
Listen.
you should be looking at establishing something somewhere, planting roots somewhere.
Mid-20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
this is
Now
where
circumstances happen,
Right.
but I
This
always
is-
say this: you can come back and sleep in one of my rooms.
Yeah.
One of my rooms.
In a little sleeping bag or air mattress.
It's not.
this is
yours.
where we need to understand the difference between raising a child and maintaining one until the benefits that they give you run out. If you are raising your child the way that that child is supposed to be raised, understanding that that child's life is what matters now, by the time he gets to that age or she gets to that age, she's going to want to leave because you put everything you were supposed to into him or into her so they can go out there and explore. But a lot of parents are simply maintaining their children by giving them basic shelter, basic food, basic education, basic clothing until they reach a certain age when all of those benefits run out, and then go out there and do it you on your own.
Yeah.
So how about we start there?
I agree.
All other scenarios are immaterial.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think my response sounds a lot like Roland's. But I think in my mind, I think my child should have everything they need to be successful right around the age of 25. So 25, and I brought this up because I like this statement. Ask them to produce a plan. They should have the maturity. They should have a level of maturity at a certain age to be able to produce a plan. And have conversations, set boundaries, standards, and desired expectations. Going back to that structure that we talked about previously, though, that structure helps them to mature. That's part of the structural plan. It helps them to mature, and then we give them bits of responsibility throughout the way as they get older and develop. So that being said, they will get to the point to where they can leave. Now, I don't necessarily make them leave, like we had to do when we were at a certain age. And I'm not saying nobody kicked us out the house, but we wanted to go. We needed to
I
get out there and
am.
spread. We needed to
I'm
get out there and
saying
spread
it.
our
It
wings.
happened to me.
Right. Oh man. But we needed to get out there and spread our wings. There were things that we in our minds we wanted to do that we couldn't do in our parents' house. Right. For me, again, 25 is the cutoff, but there's no doubt in my mind that by the time they get there, they will already be gone and in their own place. That's just my thoughts on that one. So great question, Liz, and we greatly appreciate you asking that. MJ is over here dropping science. She said, "What I heard you say was a deeply rooted tree can't be easily swayed by strong winds of turmoil." You are spot on, MJ. Thank you for that. I like that comment so much I had to start and put it back up here. So that being said, again, I want to make sure I reach out and touch everybody. Listen, we greatly appreciate you. We thank you for being here. We know that you could have been any place else on this fine Friday night, but you chose to be here with us, and we do not take that lightly. Again, if this is your first time, look in the bottom right hand of your screen. Go ahead and click on the subscribe button. You'll see a little icon. Click on that button to subscribe to the channel. And again, share it with somebody else, somebody who you think and believe will actually benefit from these conversations that we have every Friday at 8 p.m. Last but not least, I want to greatly appreciate all of our super supporters. Again, we greatly appreciate you, and you are the reason why we're able to do some of the things that we're able to do. So again, thank you very much, and we do not take what you do lightly. Next question. What are some of the long-term benefits of investing in a positive family environment?
More positive family environments.
Say more. I like what you said. Say more.
If you are raised in a positive family environment, you know what it looks like, so you can replicate it. There's really nothing else to add on to that.
Mister, I don't have anything to add, has just dropped the mic. I mean, really? Not trying to be funny. That's the answer. Why would you not want your child to be successful as an adult? And I think MJ, she was MJ was going exactly where I was going to go. Reaping generation, like we're setting generations up for success, like literally. And each generation, here we go. What you got, Chris? What you got, man? What you got?
Okay. All right, man. If nobody else is going to say it, I'm going to say it. Dear moms and dear dads, get out of your ego. Your child is supposed to be better than you. Get over it. It's supposed to happen. So get out of your ego and go let that child be great. Get out of the way. They're still gonna love you. Your mom, your dad, they're still gonna love you. But if you do not allow that child to actually pursue something meaningful that they find meaningful and that they would do for free, but people would pay them, get out of the way. They're supposed to do that. Move. All right, I'm done.
Nope. Great point. And that's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, I want my children to be better than me. That's like they should get the best that I have to offer them at the time that I'm giving it to them, which incorporates all of the learning from the mistakes that I made up to that point. So he's absolutely correct. So man, I mean, again, and Natasha's saying the same thing, creating a legacy of what a positive family dynamic should be. That's the key. The key is we create one in our home so they aren't foreign to it when they become an adult. And here's the deal, they actually know how to create it because they've seen it created in our home. That's the important part. So, man, I think, let me see who else. Ms. Jackson said, if you have a positive family environment, that means each generation progresses further than the last. Precisely. We tell them to do better than we did so that they can be more successful and not struggle like we had to. Absolutely.
But we
Every
just don't
harvest.
tell them. We show them. This is what it looks like. Tangibly. You can put your hands on it. You can do it.
Precisely. Yes, sir.
But it's a flip side to that coin, because I've experienced where when the child moves on and moves ahead, now he's looked at as he or she is looked at as a sellout. Oh, you think you better than us? That's another cultural thing within a societal norm, that a negative one. Because when, like, I used to take my daughters home, and because they spoke decent English, non-broken, non-ebonics, they were talked about. They were ridiculed. So that's one of those cultural things that we got to get out of. We got to get out of, because you have an education, because you have culture, because you have experiences outside of being in the box, that you don't understand what it is to be who you are.
Absolutely. And we teach them the level of resiliency to handle that pressure as well. They don't necessarily break and go into some type of downward spiral because they're being referred to in one particular means or another. So, great point. And I'm glad you brought that to the table, sir. Thank you so much. Um, we're doing good. We're doing good on time. All right. What are the most important things to consider when creating a positive family environment? What should I consider?
That it ain't about you. Let's just baseline it. It ain't about you. It ain't about the woman you created a child with. It's about the legacy. So what are we doing to preserve the legacy? Get out your ego. Because like I've been saying the past couple of weeks, once you bring a life into this world, you owed the life. It ain't about you. Quit being selfish.
Absolutely.
I'll answer it. What are the most important things to consider when creating a positive family environment? One of those things is, like Coach said, was structure. You know, any building that we see, it starts with a plan, but the structure has to be there. If the structure is jacked up, then the family won't be able to stand. The family environment will be jacked up. I am a person, I believe in order. I believe that things work better when they're in order and when they're organized versus things being all over the place. And I believe that the family is built in a certain way and there's order in the family. And I think that when someone is out of order, everything up underneath it would be out of order. So if the man of the house is out of order, everything up under him in the house will be out of order. And that goes back to the structure of the home. And then the structure of the home comes from, like Coach mentions all the time, some set of principles that you live by. What are those sets of principles that you live by that creates that structure for you in your home? So I think just to pull out one piece of one thing to consider is definitely the structure of the home. You ain't got no structure to home. And like I said earlier, I had a baby before I became a father. I had was married before I became a husband. So I didn't have any structure. I was just out there flapping. So along the way I started creating and learning about structure and what it was, but um, definitely structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I would probably say communication and respect, because when it comes to the family structure, everyone from the youngest to the smallest should have a voice. Never shut off a child's voice. Never shut them down because you disagree. You can explain, you can teach, but never just shut them down. And when you do that, you establish that their voice matters. So when they get older, their concerns matter, what they think matters, and you won't have some of this problem, and they'll be more apt to talk to you.
They'll tell you
And
anything.
right,
They will
and
tell you
respect
anything and they will come and talk to you about anything as long as they know they have that window to do it without any kind of judgment.
and respect goes
That's
both
why I'm
ways.
the cool uncle.
It's respect ain't a one sided thing. I think some adults think that, oh, you have to respect me, but I don't have to necessarily respect you. And those would be my two most important things.
Very nice. Very nice. I greatly appreciate that. And you guys are spot on. I agree. There are 4 points that I want to bring up, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie those points into our closing remarks as we start to prepare for that. But beforehand, again, I want to make sure that I give a shout out. This actually to everybody that's in attendance. Randall Thompson, good to see you, sir. Welcome to this evening show. Let me see. Who did I miss? Torin Hammond. I hope I pronounced your name right. Again, welcome to this evening show. Good to see you as well. Again, if you guys are not if you guys are not a part of the Empower Perspective community, go ahead and look in the bottom right hand of your screen. If you're on YouTube, click on that icon and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It will be an honor to have you as a part of the community overall. Again, I always want to make sure that I give a shout out to our super supporters. You guys are value added and we greatly appreciate you. Now, moving on to the points that I came up with. So the 4 points that I came up with, what are the most important things to consider when creating a positive family environment? Number one, showing love and appreciation. It's not just love and appreciation, it is showing love and appreciation. So in order to show it, you have to have an understanding of what that looks like. Number two, modeling and teaching respect for each other. Same thing. Modeling and teaching, not just teaching, do as I say, not what I do. It's modeling and teaching. The idea of a good teacher is that they actually exercise what they teach. So, modeling and teaching respect for each other. Number three, actively cooperating and working together. This is huge. I can't stress that enough. It's not that the first two wasn't, but this is huge. Why? Because it helps them to develop good relationships outside of the home as well. And they actually know how to set their ego aside for the sake of cooperation. And then number three, spending meaningful time together, not just spending time together. One of the biggest mistakes we make, spending meaningful times together, which means the other person gets a vote. It's not just me being in your presence and soaking up all your time and saying, oh, we spend time together. No, it's spending meaningful time together, time that matters for both people, which means I mean, just being transparent. I'm not making a person do something they don't want to do simply because I want to do it. So again, spending meaningful time together. So that being said, I'm gonna let these fine gentlemen choose which talking points they're gonna focus on. I see Uncle Junior. I see yours. I just take whatever you guys leave. I take the scraps, the leftovers.
Works for me. We doing final thoughts now, or are you waiting?
Yeah, well, no, we're getting ready to do final thoughts,
Okay.
and I want you guys to incorporate these points into your final thoughts. And oh yeah, by the way, I still got to do the drawing, so
Yeah.
nobody leaves, nobody leaves. All right, so Uncle Junior, I got yours. Which one you guys gonna do? Still deciding?
Cause you better hurry up, cause you first.
Oh, word! I can't see what everybody's doing.
Look in the private chat.
I'm in the private chat. I can't see.
I'll put his up
Mhm.
there already.
Oh, he don't got the old ones. I'm looking at my list. That's why I got mine. I got mine on paper.
Oh, okay.
That's
Hold on.
why.
Let me put him back up again. So first one was showing love and appreciation. Second one was modeling and teaching respect for each other. Actively cooperating and working together, and then spending meaningful time. Now, as we're starting to figure this out, everybody in the chat, just kind of type in, just pick one, whichever one you choose, and just type in your thoughts about, what that means when it comes down to creating a positive family environment. I got you rolling. All right, now we're tracking. So that being said, we're going to dive into our final thoughts real quick. But first and foremost, let me see if I can make this work, Uncle Junior. Didn't want to work for me the other night. Let's see here. Give me a second. I'm gonna have to pull this all the way out. Because I don't want nobody to think I'm cheating them. All right. Can everybody see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Very good. So with that being said, we had 13 entries and the draw is about to commence. If it comes to me, I'll defer to somebody else. Miss Bernadette Simmons is our winner. Very well. Miss Bernadette Simmons, we will be reaching out to
I
you
like it.
and letting you know what you've won. We greatly appreciate all of you guys. Again, I like to give away stuff every month. So
That was
again,
fun.
that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked it.
Right.
I liked
So
it.
I
That
like to
was
give away
fun.
stuff every month. So again, make sure that you're here. Make sure that you participate because I like to change it up. I may ask a question. I may, who knows what I'm gonna do the next time, right? So again, we greatly appreciate you. That being said, it's about time for these gentlemen to dive into their final chat, their final points. Again, bittersweet moment for me, but as always, here we go.
Okay. I guess my final thought would be if I'm talking about showing love and appreciation, it's about letting the family know that they're important. You understand what I'm saying? It's like I always say, man, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the family. It's about the unit. And once we understand that part of it, I think the game would change. I really think the game would change. Um, these kids need to know what it looks like to have it shown to them and understand what it's like to show it. I think that's missing too. So I guess that would be my final thought. Yeah.
So, when it comes to creating a positive family environment and actively cooperating and working together, when you have a family and you're the man of the house or the woman of the house, you have to understand that, and especially if you have kids, that if you have, say, for instance, you have two kids, a family of four, there are four different personalities, four different identities, four different levels of stress, four different levels of triggerism or whatever like this. So you have to be able to cooperate together, and you have to be able to work together because there are always going to be things that come up that are going to challenge the overall dynamics of the relationship and just going to challenge someone. Someone is going to get sick. Someone is going to get a cold. Someone may lose a job. Someone may get suspended from school, So all of these different things change and happen in a family. So it's imperative that everybody actively cooperate together, and that means that you have to be intentional about cooperating, not just hoping that it's just going to come together and that someone is just going to take the lead on it. Like, you have to work together, and sometimes when you work together, that means, like Chris said, you have to set aside your ego, and that not just men, but women, but everybody in the family, have to set aside your ego and have to set aside certain things that you may want for the greater good of the family.
Make sure I'm unmuted. See, this one caught me off guard today, Coach. I took on modeling, teaching respect for others. I said that parents our are our first teachers, and they show the child exactly who they shall become, what they shall act like, uh, and we as parents, we must model the behaviors in front of these children so that they know how to act in person as well as in private, on social media, whether it's in school, whether it's at church, wherever it is. They learn how to act from you. If they talk about their friends behind their back, they learned it from you. And you must model respect, because when you disrespect someone else, then they have to learn this. When you disrespect somebody else, you're disrespecting the family and you're disrespecting yourself. So, learning exactly what respect is, learning exactly how to act, not saying you won't have mishaps, but even in your mishaps, you have to learn and model what it is to apologize. So, daddy, you can't come in, blow up, and just think it's going to be all right. Mama, you can't just cuss somebody out, think it's going to be cool, because they have to learn how to humble themselves and show the same respect to the other person and say, man, I must apologize. I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to apologize, not just say, if you feel like, no, I apologize because I made you feel a certain way, and identify exactly what it is that I did wrong. And when you can identify the wrongs within yourself, then it helps the overall family realize, man, we're all flawed beings and we all can fall. But when we fall, or yeah, when we fall, not if, when we fall, how do we get up and how do we make it right?
My apologies. I had to get my information straight over here. Listen, it is very difficult to follow behind the brother minister, but I am going to do my best song and dance over here. Listen, I believe wholeheartedly that this one right here is probably one of the least taught things in the home. And I think when we really stop and think about it, everything that was talked about previously is a good segue to this. when it comes down to showing love, first we need to understand what love is. Then we also need to teach it to our children, so our children to understand what love looks like when I show it to them. I think that's important. I think a lot of times we get to the point of believing that a person assumes a thing based upon what I believe love is. The other side of that is the appreciation piece, right? So appreciating someone else. I think all of this ties into time. We got to get to the point, and Roland hit the nail on the head. We have to get into the point to where not only do we respect and appreciate our time, but we respect and appreciate somebody else's time as well. If we can get to the point of respecting and appreciating our time as well as somebody else's time, then we don't waste time or waste somebody else's time, or more others, otherwise waste my own time. So we don't waste time. Therefore, instead of just spending time together, we spend meaningful time together, which means that every experience yields a positive memory. Do we play games together? I'm COVID-19 kind of introduced some things to us, right? I don't know how many of you guys have that game, Culture Tags. Culture Tags is a good game for a family to play. It is actually fun. It's interactive. I mean, you'll spend a whole lot of time laughing with and at one another. But I promise you, those are times that you'll find that you don't forget. I did it with my nieces, in South Carolina, and I'm telling you, I have video footage, and we laughed and laughed and laughed because it was just hilarious. Spending meaningful time together not only helps people to feel valued, but you understand that not only that you value them, but they also value you. Get out of the habit of just spending time, right? Spend meaningful time, meaning that that time has meaning to both me and you. I said that earlier, right? It's important. What is it that you want to do? And let's kind of talk about what that looks like, and then create a plan to move forward so that we can have those shared experiences under the concept of that meaning. When we have that shared experience under the concept of the meaning that we created together, what you'll find is that you'll have lasting memories. So when you look at this, families should be the nucleus behind spending meaningful time together through the lens of love and appreciation. It is modeled, it is taught through the concept of respect. And last but not least, we are actively cooperating and working together within the space of the time that we have. So, that being said, listen, I want to make sure that I extend a sincere thank you to everybody that is in the chats, everybody who heard us, who actually participated and was actually taking part in this conversation tonight. We greatly appreciate you. We thank you and we value you so much. Next week is going to be the last part of creating a positive family environment. And that is where we're going to get after mostly a lot of the do's. And that thing that Roland talked about, communication, we're going to get into a lot of that as well. So listen, on behalf of these gentlemen on this panel, who I greatly appreciate, I want to thank you, each and every one of you. I want to thank you for being in attendance. I want to thank you for participating. Bernadette Simmons, thank you. And we just want to say congratulations for being this month's winner of the free giveaway. We will see you guys next week, same time, same channel, on the Hearts and Men podcast. Have a great and wonderful week, rest of the evening, and a fantastic weekend.